while I was working at the diner. After high school, I never got to go to college due to how expensive it was. I am planning to in the future. Edward said when he came into the diner and saw me, it was love at first sight. He said when his eyes landed on me, it was like a halo shined on my head. He persisted me for almost 1 month before I said yes, and we've been dating for almost 2 years now. In the beginning, he was the best boyfriend ever. He would bring me flowers and other expensive gifts. He was my first and only boyfriend, and I loved being spoiled. My coworkers at the diner would always swoon over him. He seems to hate everyone but had a soft spot just for me. For example, one time he came over with roses to my workplace. "You can't just waltz in while she's at shift," my manager said. He scoffed, rolling his eyes. "So, she can quit then. Let's see how you do without your best waitress in this damn town." He then walked up to give me roses and winked while kissing me right there. "See you later, baby." I almost swooned at those words. One of my coworkers who was also there that day actually frowned at his words, which I didn't get. But I was curious, so during lunch I ended up asking her. She shrugged, picking at her salad. "It seems toxic for him to show off and expect you and everything else to just stop everything from him. Don't get me wrong, I'm not hating or anything, it just seems like an overkill." In the back of my mind, I'm thinking, you're just a jealous girl that doesn't have a loving boyfriend. He made me feel like I was the only girl in the world. I know there are usually some girls that looked hotter and were prettier than me, but he never once made me feel like I was in second place. He only had eyes on me. He wanted to spend every second of the day with me that he asked me to quit a few times and not even bother applying to college so we can spend even more time together. At first, I thought that was romantic. He would always shower me with kisses and was the best at making love, too. He knew how to satisfy me and was great at it. There wasn't a time where I felt used after sex, but sore and happy. In 2 years, I've fallen in love with him, yet some things about him are very abnormal with the way he shows his love to me. I wouldn't say he's abusive, but his way of showing love is rather over the top. I know boyfriends usually get jealous whenever he thinks there's a threat to the relationship. This is usually in a form of anger jealousy. And in the beginning, I was blinded by love, so I never really saw the red flags until they were too late. I started to ignore my friends and family. I picked hanging out with Edward than my family or my friends every single time just because it made him happy. My girlfriends used to invite me out on the weekend, but stopped after I kept saying no. I ended up moving out of my parents' house to move in with him so we wouldn't fight anymore. I ignored every single red flag my friends and family told me that the relationship is turning into something toxic. I am ashamed to admit that I didn't want to see the bad in my relationship because, in my eyes, Edward could do no wrong. In the beginning, he was really happy with my choice and praised me a lot. But it started to become worse when he thought every single guy was after sleeping with me. There was one time where he thought my coworker was in love with me. He confronted him about it, and then I thought that was the end of it. What I didn't expect was for him to pick me up from my work shift, and then Edward would bend me over onto the alley of my work store and take me right there. At first, I thought he just had a strong need after a long day at his working shift. No, it turned out he was waiting for my coworker to come out and see him taking me against the wall to show him that I belonged to him. And I was blind to this. He did this several more times with everyone else that he thought was a threat, which was like every male friend I have. Now keep in mind that I didn't know that he was doing this on purpose. Before this happened, I loved the thrill of almost getting caught. We did it in the park where children and people were walking around. I'll be wearing my skirt, so when he's telling me to sit on his lap on the bench, something else was going on as I bounced up and down on his lap. It was so hard not to moan, and it was so hot. We did it at the beach, while everyone was swimming and playing in the water. Edward and I were doing something else. It was so hot how anyone can just get close and realize we were making love in the water. But like usual, everyone was too oblivious. I thought everything was okay, and it wasn't until one day my friend informed me about what was happening with Edward doing it. I still remembered it clear like it just happened yesterday. "Your boyfriend really shouldn't be doing that in public with you. You could get arrested," Roberto said one day. I stopped wiping the dinner tables and frowned at him. It was a really quiet night, so our manager didn't mind us talking. I tilted my head to the side. "What do you mean?" "You know," he trailed off and then fixed his sports, migraines, and headaches. "I was recently put on a new birth control pill by my doctor, so it was giving me a lot of problems that I didn't want to compromise my health for. So I decided to tell my boyfriend. Until I can switch to a new one, you have to use condoms." He groaned, throwing his head back like a child. "Are you serious?" "Yes, unless you never want to make love again, be my guest," I chuckled, making my way to our bedroom. I was relatively surprised how he didn't complain too much about it. He never liked to wear condoms, but loved to make love to me, which I didn't mind either. And even though he still liked to make love to me in public because it's something he loves to do the most, I didn't mind so long as it's not anywhere near where we worked. The last thing I needed was another awkward conversation with my coworkers. I thought everything between us was back to normalcy. Every day we made love either at home or outside, far from the city where we lived. Again, I thought everything was fine again. Well, imagine to my surprise that I got pregnant. At first I didn't believe it, but the symptoms of being pregnant were there, and taking 4 times only proved I was pregnant. I gulped, nervous, but I knew I had to tell Edward. I didn't believe in abortion since I came from a religious family, and we were cuddling one night when I peered up at him. I'm pregnant. I waited for anything, like his body to tense or anger to appear in his face from my confession. But instead, he smiled. Congratulations, baby. He didn't seem the least shocked. Why aren't you shocked? I asked, confused. He gave a half-hearted shrug at my question and kissed my lips. Babe, you know condoms are only 99% effective. There's still one chance. I guess that means you're stuck with me. How lucky am I, right? I guess. You should also quit your job. My eyes widened. What? Well, I earn a lot at my workplace anyway. You should quit. I don't want you stressing my child, he explained. You mean hours. Same thing, he replied, rolling his eyes. So, are you going to quit? I can help. I bit my tongue from talking back. I love my job at the diner. The work is decent, and I hated being a stay-at-home. Nothing gave me hives like being the perfect stay-at-home wife. It just didn't cut it for me. I grew up in a household that taught me the importance of working. I'll think about it, I lied. Ever since that night, I can't help but shake off how calm he was about the whole ordeal. It was as if he was expecting it, which can't be possible, can it? It wasn't until one day after he had fallen asleep next to me, and I had to get up to use the bathroom. It was the day that I found out the worst thing about my boyfriend that I still shiver thinking about to this day. It was what I found inside his bathroom that made my stomach churn. There were a few boxes of condoms he had brought that were all open. On the side of it was a needle pin. When I first saw it, I thought I was dreaming, yet even I pinched my arm. I knew it was true. I swallowed even the urge to throw up and darted back into the room where he was sleeping. Quickly, when he was asleep, I ran the used condom he'd chucked onto the floor and made my way back to the bathroom. I turned on the drink and ran it through the water. Sure enough, water started to spray out the tiny holes. I ripped and tried every single condom he brought from the box, and it was the same thing. He was puncturing holes through it in an effort to get me pregnant and was never going to tell me. And he succeeded. Now, I'm terrified of what I should do next. I finally saved enough for college with the money I made working at the diner. Now I have to worry about a child, and everything else, too. If I end up having this baby, I knew I'm never going to be able to get away from Edward, and I think that's his plan. He wants me to be shacked to him, and that terrified me. I never realized just how dependent I've gotten.